It is the most successful Haslab project of all time, and it's also the biggest Marvel Legend of all time. Is the Haslab Galactus the greatest Marvel Legends figure, or was it at least worth the hefty price tag? We'll try to answer that on this episode of Geek Dad Life. Unveiled in August of last year, the Galactus is the second Haslab project by the Marvel Legends team, following the very successful gigantic Sentinel project. And they took a lot of the same beats from that first release by taking a legendary Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, but giving us the biggest 6-inch scaled version of this character that we have ever gotten. It was also $50 more than the Sentinel Haslab project, but that didn't deter fans. This thing was the most successful Haslab ever, crossing the 30,000 backer threshold. Actually went over 31,000 when all was said and done. And a little over a year later, backers are finally starting to get their Galactuses. Galactuses? Their Galactus sets. We knew this thing was going to be big, but oh my god, I don't think I was quite prepared for the actual size of this box. It actually arrives packed within 2 shipper cases to protect the inner Galactus box. And speaking of the packaging for this set, I think they did a fantastic job, even though, again, it is ginormous. Following similar cues to the Sentinel, kind of recreates a comic book cover. It gives, it gives a little Marvel issue stamp in the upper left-hand corner. It has fantastic artwork of the Galactus, as well as the 3 heralds that you receive in this set. And while it's just simply a gigantic box to store this figure, it's still pulled off fairly well. When you take the big styrofoam tray out of the box, you can see the Galactus figure on one side and all of our tiers on the other. I really like the way they presented this set compared to the Sentinel, where the extra tiers were just kind of, tucked in little corners of the case. This one, they're presented really nicely on the right-hand side, and then we also got the Galactus on the left. There's a little bit of assembly required with this Galactus. You gotta put the 2 fins on the side of his head, but that's pretty easy. And if you wanna have the LED functions going, you do need 4 AAA batteries, which requires a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the battery door and put in the battery. But once you do that, the LED lights turn right on, and they look fantastic. I think, comparing them to the Sentinel, they show off a bit better. There's a little bit more features from the middle of the figure as well as the head of the figure. The lights going all the way up. I really like how they did it. And there's buttons on the back of the head to turn that on, or the chest. And what's cool is there's a light sensor in the neck to turn on all of the lights if you press from one side or the other. There is not much paint to be had with this set. It's really just a big hunkin' piece of plastic. A lot of the colors are brought out in the actual plastic choices used, but the paint details that are there are really sharp. Honestly, I think it looks better than the Sentinel in hand. Where it really comes out is in these face plates. It has a lot more life to it. Again, the Sentinels are robots, so I'm not going to knock it too much for that, but really I love how the sculpting and paint come together with this set. And the articulation is a lot stiffer than the Sentinel was, which notoriously had very loose knees and legs. This is a lot tighter, so they've clearly taken the engineering learns from the Sentinel and applied them here to the Galactus. It's a little bit tougher to get him posed, but I think that's going to help this thing in the long run to not get super loosey and fall over. But I do like they improved the joints and add really nice ratchets to everything to make sure that once you get it in the pose that you like, it's going to stay that way. I also like the sculpting in the hands and the articulation. Again, the Sentinel's a robot, so it doesn't need to look very, humanoid-like with the hands, but the fingers just come across so well on this Galactus. They just look fantastic. You can kind of get it into any pose you want, and especially with a character like Galactus, you want really, there's so many different scenes you could do of him holding a globe or his heralds, and the fact that they kind of went out of their way to make sure the articulation was really good on the hands, I really dug. Speaking of those faceplates, he comes with 3. We have his more stoic, passive face, a snarled, grimacing face, as well as a skull face. The faceplates are kind of rubbery, so they kind of just pop right out, and then you can pop the new ones in. The bonus tier that they added at 22,000 backers was the Dr. Doom head, recreating the Marvel 2-in-1 number 6 issue. Doom transferred his consciousness to Galactus. So this is a really neat throw in here, and I think it looks pretty good. The LED lights don't do anything for the Doom head, but again, I think that's okay. Again, a nice little throw in here. I don't think a lot of people display him this way, but if you wanted to, you can. Hitting up the rest of the tiers, we got some fantastic Marvel Legends 6-inch scale figures added to this set. The first of those was at 16,000. You got to unlock this Frankie Ray figure, otherwise known as Nova. Probably the most good out of Galactus's heralds. I think they did a really good job with the hair sculpting and the translucent plastic that they used. The body is just casted in this gold pearlescent plastic. Not much paint detail here besides the face, but still it's a really solid looking figure with pinless joints throughout. And then we also have her flame stand. Out of the two stands that we got, fits the best in Galactus's hand and stays pretty stable when you have her in there. I really dig this figure getting included here, and I think they did a really good job with her. The next tier was at 17,000 backers, and again, you can't have a Galactus without his most famous herald, Silver Surfer. Now, it's a pretty solid Silver Surfer figure, but it is not exactly the same as the Walgreens Silver Surfer. I still prefer the Walgreens exclusive one because he has more of a Kirby look to him. I like the paint applications in the face better than the Galactus release, and the silver is a little bit darker on the Walgreens exclusive version than this one. This is a solid Silver Surfer, but if you have the Walgreens release, I think you'll probably want to have this one displayed with your Galactus, but it'll look just fine with your Galactus if you don't have the Walgreens one. I will say the surfboard stand is okay. I could get it to kind of sit on his hands. I would prefer something to come off his shoulder or something like that. And I have heard that some people have had their plastic break where you attach the surfboard, so that is a bummer. It's okay, but I feel like for the most famous character that is associated with Galactus, they maybe should have went a little bit further to make the stand as well as the figure stand out. The last of the original tiers and the last figure included with this set is definitely his most violent herald, and that is Morg. And you know, it's not a character that I have that much affection or affinity for, but they did a fantastic job. All of the kind of scaling detail on his body looks fantastic, and really out of all three figures, I feel like he is the most impressive. And really, I think for three heralds that you include with this set, you probably have, you know, some of his most iconic heralds, and I really dig that this thing was so successful that we got all of them. Going side by side to the Sentinel figure, it is 6 inches taller than that one and just really kind of dwarfs this Sentinel, which is a fantastic figure. The sculpting is better, the LED features are better, and just in general, I feel like they took a lot of learns from that Sentinel and applied him to the Galactus to make him that much better of a figure. So while the Galactus set carried a $50 premium, I think we got our value out of that extra $50. The Galactus figure itself is bigger, better in just about every category you could pick, as well as the tiers. The tiers are fantastic with this set. You're getting unique characters that are really kind of fan-demanded characters with this set. Not to, you know, throw any shade to the stuff that was included with the Sentinel, but I just feel like this set had a lot more going for it. So as I said at the top of the video, this is the biggest set, but was it worth the extra cost? And is it the greatest Marvel Legends figure of all time because of its scale and everything that it brings to the table? Now, I don't know if you could say greatest. It's definitely one of the greatest releases so far in the Legends line. And in terms of was it worth the price, I think it is. For an extra $50, you're getting iconic characters. You're getting a gigantic Galactus, which is what you want your Galactus to be. And since they sold so many of them, over 30,000, I believe the secondary market price will also be pretty reasonable for this Galactus going forward. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep watching, check out this video. And until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.